I need items, lots of items. But not only that, I need to acquire specific rare runes to even make said items. I'll have to kill thousands of mobs to even have a chance at getting the things I need. But thankfully, in Project Diablo 2, there's maps, and these maps happen to be unreasonably large areas in the game that are jam-packed with mobs. So today, on the Sacrifice Sanctuary Paladin, I'll be running a set of 50 maps to see if I can get literally any of the items I need. As usual, this is hardcore solo self-found, which means no public games, and if I die, the universe explodes, just like last time. With all that being said, it's time to go do the thing. On the very first map, I got a unique serpent skin armor to drop. We're already off to a good start, because this was a Viper Magi, and it rolled 21 on the all-res. It was a low roll, but that's okay. We can make it better. We have the technology. Or it can brick, that works too. But then, a burr rune dropped immediately after that. I had to evacuate the area just so I could stare at it. Now technically, with this burr rune, I could make an Enigma. It is one of my goals, but I would have to cube 2 burr runes to make a jaw rune. Even on SSF, that feels bad to do, so I held off on doing that for the time being. After inflicting vast amounts of property damage on map 2, I got a unique Bloodlord Skull to drop. This was a Dark Force spawn, a Necro offhand that allows you to cast an additional curse. The skill rolls were all degenerate, so naturally it went straight into the box, and it slammed for a non-zero amount of cold resistance. And then I forgot to recast Holy Shield for like 2 minutes, and thank God these cows don't have Might Aura. A unique Thresher also ended up dropping here. I blind smashed it for a Reaper's Soul with damage to demons, and attack rating to demons. It was a low roll, and I already had one, so I just tossed it. Later on in map 3, I dropped a unique War Fist. I always find like 3 of these items in every video. Because of that, I felt perfectly fine with blind slamming it, which made it into a Whispering Mirage with 3 sockets drilled into it. The skill rolls were tragic, but the ED was one off from perfect. Maybe I'll jam some low runes into it. Then, I grave robbed this body for an Ist rune. Once, this was a man's most valued possession, but now it was mine forever. Then on map 6, Horizon had showed his stupid face on my map, which deeply offended me. After mincing his face several times, he died honorably and horribly, and he also dropped a unique Grim Shield. This was a lidless, which very tragically rolled +1 on the skills. A 3-socket or a +1 skill slam would have just given me anxiety and depression on this shield, so I tossed it. Even though Horizon had opened a new map, I still considered this to be map 6, and in this same map, I got an Ohm rune to drop. Why, that's exactly the rune I needed. Thank you, game. I can finally make a Call to Arms rune word for battle orders and battle command. Except I didn't have a Mal rune. I didn't even have the runes to cube up to a Mal rune. This game has a disgusting sense of humor. The hardest rune was acquired, but I was being held back by a stupid Mal rune. Then on map 7, I found a unique Gilded Shield. Yes, game, give me lots of these. I like this item because it's a Herald of Zakarum. It rolled +1 on the combat skills, same as the one I was using, but now I had 2 of these, and I felt okay to... Nope, it bricked. Not slamming the other one, screw that. Then, I made a bunch of cow people blow up violently, which resulted in the creation of this Ohm rune. Yes, game, give me lots of these. Also, the irony of dropping 2 Ohms and a Burr rune before ever finding a Mal rune was not lost on me. I went on to cube 2 goals into a Vex, and I went ahead and made Exile in some random shield, which naturally rolled the bare ass minimum on the Defiance aura. The level 13 aura would still add a bunch of defense and 6% damage reduction though. I put it on the Mercenary, and now I felt more comfortable teleporting on top of those incredibly toxic Cursed Might Aura packs. While re-rolling Grand Charms, I landed a Poison and Bone Skiller with 12% FHR. I've been trying to get offensive aura skillers with FHR, but I'll definitely keep this one for future use. Then, I got a unique jewel to drop on map 10. This jewel would end up being a Cold Facet. and it rolled 40,000 on the cold damage and minus 4 trillion on the cold pierce. Then I heard the sound of coins being counted nearby on map 13. Good day, Geed. How are you going to screw me over today? Oh no, it's a ring. It's not going to be another Nagel, is it? Ooh, it's a nature's piece. +2 max all res on all the rolls. Having an Oak Sage is pretty nice too. The Ormus robes ended up being a spirit shroud. The soul drainers ended up not being a soul drainers. I didn't care about the other items. And the nature's piece ended up slamming for some mana after kill. That is, after totally bricking, of course. Then it was time to wipe out all life forms on map 14. I would end up getting some unique shark skin boots to drop. These are my personal favorite boots because they're water walks, plus 54 life, dex, even some max fire res. The faster block rate is pretty helpful too. Then it was time to violently brick it with a shard, and it ended up not bricking for some enhanced defense. I couldn't use it now because I was using Mara walks for cannot be frozen and strength, but I kept these boots on standby. I was still actively looking for a Mal rune to make my CTA, and it was here that I would finally drop another Ohm rune. Now don't get me wrong, I very much appreciated this drop, but I really needed that Mal rune, man, and I wouldn't end the video without making a CTA. Then I ran straight into a fanaticism pack while being cursed on map 18, and I got a nice little rune for my stupidity. That was good. Progress was being made on that Mal rune. Then I was gallivanting around in the sewers on map 19 when suddenly I got a unique amulet to drop. I really like unique amulets because they can't be mantled and they can't be Nagel rings. Also, let's pretend Mahim Oak doesn't exist. It ended up being a Mars Kaleidoscope. It got 29 all-res and it landed a perfect 8 on the attributes. What would it end up slamming for? Will it brick in the Satan Cube? That is a question for the scholars. Then on map 20, I robbed some farm animals for a unique Vortex Shield. I also got some set Bramble Mitts, but I already had like 5 pairs of these. I blind slammed Laying of Hands just for fun, and the rolls were absolutely degenerate. So I went ahead and just tossed them. I blind slammed the shield into a 3-socketed Sky Warden that rolled +2 to offensive ores and 19 to dexterity. This shield was absolutely an upgrade for me. However, I still needed to use Herald of Zacharium so I could keep using Arcane's Valor, but I did keep Sky Warden for possible future use. Then I got another Horizon event in the same map, which opened up a portal to the Ruined Cistern. Except for cow maps, I didn't feel like this paladin was really ready for tier 3s, but Horizon maps have 0 resistances in them, so I gave it a go. It's a good thing I did, because I would finally get my Mal rune to make CTA. Burr rune. It was an amazing drop, and now I could definitely make an Enigma. But it still felt bad to cube 2 Burr runes, even on SSF. I decided to hold out just a little longer before doing that. Then I dropped a Lem rune in the same map, and later on, I got a Pole rune. I was limping ever so steadily towards that Mal rune. Oh yeah, I also dropped this unique blade bow that I promptly ignored earlier, but I thought I would go ahead and blind slam it. It blind slammed into a crackle shot with 4 sockets. I don't know if I'll ever use this thing, but I have this item now. Later on, I got a unique Mithril Coil to drop on map 21. An absolute pleasure to see on hardcore, because this was a Verdungo's. The rolls were degenerate, but it's still a Verdungo's. Leave me alone, Thorns. Oh no, game. Please, I'm begging you. I've gone 21 maps without finding one. Please don't let it be a mantled heal. Fuck, I hate you. But I at least found another unique amulet. We're still going to pretend a Mahim Oak doesn't exist. It ended up being a Cat's Eye, with 27 faster run walk and 26 dexterities. Straight into the evil devil cube you go. It would go on to slam for 27 magic find. Then, on map 23, I got a unique Vampire Fang belt to drop. I heard a rumor that if you like the video and subscribe to the channel, you definitely, probably, maybe won't brick this exact belt. I appreciate the support. Then I got a shiny, unique mesh armor on map 24. Yes, game, that's good. Give me lots of these. It was a shaft stop that rolled 23% damage reduction and a generous 138 to life. It slammed for exactly one socket. Then I set off more explosions in the sewers and came upon this unique war belt. This was a Thunder Gods, and it rolled +5 max light res out of a total of 8. The rolls simply weren't rolling today, but it's still a +2 lightning belt, which meant it was going straight into the bricking box, and it would go on to slam for 26 magic find. But things aren't all bad, because map 29 would give me another unique war belt. Even though I don't use this item, I still like seeing it drop, but I don't like seeing it brick after blind slamming it. Also, I still hadn't found that Rune. Bastard video game. Then I got lost in the jungle for map 31 because this map doesn't have IKEA arrows to guide the way for me. I simply need those arrows to function in my daily life. I ID'd this large charm that only just barely caught my eye. I'm so used to throwing out garbage charms that I almost lost this 7 IAS lifer charm. Very close to perfect. Then I committed several more acts of violence on map 33. A unique spiderweb sash belt ended up dropping here. This was a good old arachnid mesh, and it rolled a heart-wrenching 10 FCR. It would be very tragic if it ended up slamming for some FCR. Okay, good. It got magic find. I'm fine with that. Then on map 34, I saw my very first unique Seraph Rod. My loot filter screamed at my brain to pick it up because that's just what Kryzard's loot filter does. It was an Akarat's Devotion that rolled 4 on the Blessed Hammer and 268 on the ED. Even the Replenished Life rolled perfectly. That's how you roll an item. Except it got an on-striking proc, and I think on-casting is the better one, although I can't be sure. Then it was time to brick it forever, and it managed to land with a crushing blow slam, making this melee item even more melee-er. Then I used a game feature that I haven't used in literally years, and I do mean literally years. I got Kane to ID some items, and one of the charms I had was an offensive aura skiller with a small amount of life on it. I will absolutely take that. Then, on map 35, I came to possess another unique Bloodlord Skull. I would go on to blind slam this rotten bastard into a dark force with 3 sockets. It also rolled +3 on the summoning and curses as well. Later on, I was engaged with mortal combat against a map boss, and I actually remembered to use Zeal this time to take him down. He died in agony, and my ultra violence was rewarded with a unique ring and award. The ring was a Carrion Wind that rolled 9% life leech. I would go on to slam it for a small amount of magic damage reduction. The shield ended up being a spirit ward with +2 to necromancer skills. I tried assassinating it with a slam, and it survived with some extra lightning resistance. Then on map 37, I got a unique ring to drop. It could be a wide variety of items, 95% of which are generally useless. It ended up being another Nature's Piece. I like this ring a lot, and since I've already been screwed out of 2 of these, I felt pretty good about slamming this item. And it bricked. And that's why I'm never slamming my Maras. Never. Then I dropped a unique tier 3 map on map 38. The mystery unique map ended up being another Outer Void map, a map that guarantees uber materials. It also gives massive bonuses to player attack and move speed, allowing the player to have absurd amounts of fun. And then I dropped this dinky little pole rune. It's not an impressive drop, not even a little bit. However, it was exactly the rune I needed to cube 2 of these into that, and 2 of those into a Rune. And I would go on to make my first call to arms of the season, 6 to battle command, 4 to battle orders, and +1 to that one other skill. I will absolutely take that. Later on, in map 39, I would end up IDing a martial arts skiller with 37 to life. I don't know much about assassins. I only know that they're horrifically overpowered. Then, I projected my insecurities onto everyone around me in the same map, and a puzzle box would end up dropping. Now, all I need to do is find a Doombringer. That way, I can use this puzzle box and then brick said Doombringer afterwards. Then I got in a fight with a very angry bird, still on map 39, and she would go on to drop a unique matriarchal spear. If I can land 6 sockets on this item, I'll have a good weapon for a possible bossing Amazon. It ended up bricking because this game wants me to build a small prison with all the bricks I've been making lately. On map 40, I got a nifty little goal rune to drop off the mangled body of a cow person. Then I killed more cows that were trapped in the sewers on map 43, and I would go on to find this unique ward bow. Apparently, bow paladins are pretty good this season. I blind slammed it into a Widowmaker that landed -8 poison res. I used science and math to determine that this was not the ideal slam for this bow. And I just keep finding those ranged weapons, like this unique siege crossbow. This was a pus spitter, and it's used for, like, things and stuff. And then I bricked it with 4 sockets. Damn it, game. 4-socketed pus spitter would have been pretty nice to have. Still on the same map, the unholy spirit of Diablo would gift me this jaw rune. I had to stare at it for a little bit, because this wasn't just a jaw rune, it was the jaw rune that would allow me to make Enigma without having to cube 2 entire burr runes to make it. And there it was, an Enigma. More of a luxury item for this paladin, but I am a big fan of having a second teleport, along with the other stats. Then, I felt a great deal of agony on map 44 when I tried to kill a map boss while being decrepified. He went on to drop some unique ogre gauntlets. These were some good old steel rends, and it rolled 61 on the enhanced damage, the bare ass minimum on the crushing blow, and a perfect 10 on crushing blow efficiency. It ended up slamming for a bunch of attack rating. By the way, I finally put on that Sky Warden, and no, I don't have any runes. I have to settle with using perfect diamonds, so please leave me alone. Later on, I found the Geet event for map 45. Will he screw me over for another ring once again? He didn't have a ring, but he did have a possible Arcane's Valor. And even though I'm using Enigma, I wouldn't mind a chance at getting a 3-socketed Arcanes. The armor ended up being the exact opposite of an Arcane's Valor. The barb helmet ended up being a Raycor's Virtue, which allows throw barbs to apply an additional curse. I also had an additional curse when I slammed that Raycor's for some cold resistance. I'll never use a Scolders, but I thought it would slam it anyway, and it got that dang stupid Thorns Corruption. Oh hey look, it's a Mal rune, 47 maps later. Then for map 48, I dropped a shiny, unique amulet. Once again, I like amulets because they can't be mantled. I would go on to identify it as a Mahi Moke, which, okay, that's fair enough, game. You got me. On map 49, I almost missed out on a 12% 4-socketed Ethereal Man Catcher, but thankfully, I went back to retrieve it. Now, if I ever needed to make an Infinity for an Act 2 Mercenary, I have a good base to use it. Finally, for the 50th and final map, I got a unique Colossus Girdle to drop. While trying to find a safe place to ID it, I somehow teleported on top of this gigantic Midora pack, which made me crush coal into diamonds with all the puckering I did. Thank goodness for max block. The belt was a Sigurd Staunch that rolled 5 to Iron Skin and 6% to max life, and then I completely ruined it with this +10 to energy slam, but at least it survived. I decided to close things off by re-rolling some Grand Charms, and my very first reroll landed me a Cold Skiller with 37 to life. If only I hadn't bricked that Nightwings from the previous video. And that, my friends, is going to bring this mapping video to a close. It was a complete slaughter when it came to slamming uniques, but despite that, I was able to make an enormous amount of progress on the Sacrifice Sanctuary Paladin. Once again, gear and skills will be in the description, so be sure to check for that in case you're curious. I'll be back for another round of maps, hopefully sooner rather than later. With all that being said, I would also like to say thank you all so much for the support you've shown. It's been amazing as usual, and it truly means the world. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. I will see you all on the next one. Take care and stay safe.